As you just saw in the video, this saw broke the cable. So I needed to do some repairs to it, and while I was at it, I fixed a couple of other things. It's back running, it's in good shape. I'll show you how I did it. Not too bad. Nice smooth cut. One of the things that I like to do is put a shorter cord on things so that I don't have so much cord hanging around, wrapped around everything. This saw has been my saw for over 40 years. This is the first circular saw I ever owned. This is a present from Lydia. We were working on some things at the house and I said I really need a circular saw. She went to the store and came home with this one. It's worked very well. Did everything I wanted it to do, even after my dog Homer chewed the power cord off. Yeah, he was just a puppy. That bright orange cord, he really liked it. He ate the power cord off the drill motor, the sander, and the saw. All of them were down on the bottom shelf in the garage where he could get to them. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. This cord has pulled in two. The black wire actually came unhooked and shorted out. So now I have to replace this cord. But I'm not going to replace it, I'm just going to shorten it. This little rubber button is a bumper. It stops the guard from swinging on up around too far. But since this saw is 40 years old, the rubber bumper has broken. I'm going to attempt to fix it by supergluing the crack back together again. And then I'm going to take a little tie wrap and pull it back around. Yeah, that closes up the gap. Should take care of the problem. There, I'm going to leave the tail on that tie wrap up, just to remind me to take the tie wrap off. And I'll put the crack on the side opposite where it gets bumped. That way it won't be constantly putting more stress on it. Now, let's fix this broken cord. Now it looks like what happened. When I put this on, I slipped this reinforcement over the wire, but I didn't put anything to secure this in there, thinking that this was going to be enough to grip that wire and hold it, but evidently it wasn't. So I'm going to have to anchor that more solidly. First I'm going to clip these two wires off and reattach these. This is 3/4 inch heat shrink tubing. This is 1/2 inch heat shrink tubing. I want to see, I think the 3/4 will fit over this end, but I don't know if it's going to shrink enough. This is 1 inch heat shrink tubing. I think I'm going to have to go with a 3/4. Because this is not going to fit over that. And I need it to fit all the way over this. And the 1 inch is way too big. It won't shrink down enough to actually do me any good. But it's nice to have. You never know when you might find something that you need to have a big collar of heat shrink material to wrap around it. Okay, put the 1/2 inch back in the 1/2 inch box. And let's get the 3/4 inch open. Get it unwrapped. This is something I bought online, I don't know, a year or two ago. It's a 48 inch strip. It's just going to fit over that. And it's going to go out over this and hold it all in line. So I'm thinking I got my answer. Now I don't know if it's going to shrink down tight enough to be a complete grip on this, but it's going to go over the large part, which is really the goal of the whole operation. So that means, since it'll go over the large part, I can slide this on. And with just a little bit of soap, doesn't take much. And with just a little bit of soap, doesn't take much. That'll let me slide this all the way on there. There we go. It's easier to pull this, and I don't care if I damage the end of the wire because I can cut that off. There we go. Now I was able to pull it out. Years ago, I can just clip that open and slide it on like that. Then when I take my small piece of heat shrink tubing and slip it over the top of this and clamp it on there and shrink it down. That'll hold it. That'll let me slip this into this spot here, and that will grip the wire and hold it in place. I will glue this ring onto the outer sheath of the wire. That should make it so that it no longer tries to pull free. I'm also going to loop the wires over to this boss and tie a knot in them right here and make the connection right there. Actually, I think I'm going to make the connection up here. This one's a little tighter, a little harder to get to. So I'll make my connection up in this pocket. So I'll loop the wires around and put them over the top of this boss. Now I take a tie wrap. One of these small ones will do it. And I put some super glue on this piece here. And lock it in place. I think I'm going to use one of the larger ones, a little stronger. There we go. Now we got it wrapped tightly. I'll give this a few minutes to set up. Now, why am I going to all this trouble? I could just buy one of these. Go online, order the right one. It would come in, I'd put it in, so I'd be done. But what's the fun in that? It's all about the challenge. It's, can I do it? And can I do it with what I got in the shop? I mean, obviously I could go somewhere and buy something and make it. I could buy a new saw. Saw's not that expensive. $100, you're good to go. But this way, I get the joy and pleasure of saying, I did it. Now that these are set up, we'll clip off this tie wrap. Take my knife blade, slide it up and underneath there. There it goes. Now it's sliding on like I wanted it to. Now, I take the heat gun, actually my dad's old heat gun, now mine, put it on hot. That'll hold it. I'm going to trim this back a little bit. Make sure it's going to fit in there. I have to be careful, I don't want to cut my wire. That would be disconcerting. That would be disappointing. Mistakes happen, but we try and avoid them when we can. Dry run, test fit, make sure everything's going to go. Yep, that's going to crimp down. Grab a hold of that cable. It's going to be in there solid. Okay. So I need to make a knot. Nothing fancy. Just a knot so that the wire will stay in place. And no matter how hard it pulls on it, it shouldn't let it slide out without breaking the wire. Which admittedly I did That's how I got the darn thing apart this last time. Really, what I want to do is have it come up around here and drop in those 2 notches. So it's pinched. And then the knot would stop it from coming back out of those 2 notches. Just like that. Okay. Now I strip the wire ends on this. Stick down there good and proper. Crimp that wire solidly. There, it's locked in there. Now I just have to crimp these down. Unfortunately, if you look at the design of this, which is a great crimper, this is a Buchanan C24 pressure tool, and it crimps wires just really nicely. The only problem is it's designed to do a wire that can go in and come back out. If I put it over this and crimp it down, I'm going to have this as part of the tool. And this won't fit inside the saw, and I really want to use it for other things. So for this crimp, I have to use these pliers. Not the ones I want, the ones I got. take off just a little bit more of that wire, that insulation. Those will hold solidly. Now, I put this up in here, like so, because there's a flat on this side. And I want to have that flat fall down into this square bottom. There. Sits right in there just like it's supposed to. Now, I tuck that in and fit these crimp fittings down in there. Tuck this wire so that it's held securely. Everything is down just where I want it. That prevents me from accidentally bumping the trigger and starting the saw. Kind of a cool design. This little bit of plastic, it's all one piece. It's got a little plastic spring in there, and this is a pawl that catches the trigger. This slips over this boss, just like so. The spring goes in there and is captured. Now, that spring forces this down so that if I try and pull the trigger won't move. But if I push on this, that removes it out of the way, and I can pull the trigger and start the saw. I have to have my thumb on top and my finger on the trigger. 2 motions. Harder to do that by accident. Can be done. I'm sure there are some people skilled enough to make anything go bad. But it does make it more difficult to make a mistake. And that's the only thing we can really hope for, is that the world is run as close to good as we can get it. Make sure I got all the wires tucked in, everything where it goes. Strip that over that bolt. Now I'll clip off this tie wrap, because their little rubber grommet is definitely set up. There we go. have a nice candidate for a saw blade here. There we go. Get the little diamond in there so it fits. Make sure that's over where it's supposed to be. And put the washer on with the bump out. You don't want the bump in, you want the bump out. And the screw. Now, as fumble-fingered as I've been tonight, if I can do this, pretty much anybody can. There. Now I have a little bit of a broken piece right here on the front that I want to address. This little chunk right here is loose. So we're going to take some super glue. Since I got it out of the refrigerator, might as well use it while it's still good, because once you've opened this thing a couple of times, it's pretty much trash.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union without the express written permission of the parents or the legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.
Now it's time for a little bit of the handyman's secret weapon. Bet you thought I was going to say duct tape. Nope, masking tape. Masking tape holds, but comes off easily. None of the flipping and banging around that you got to do to get duct tape off, and there's no stickum left after you're done. And all we want to do is hold these two things so that they can shake hands and become closely bonded friends. Back like they were before the big split. Okay, that should hold it. Now, while these two old friends are becoming closely acquainted again, I will shut off the camera and put away the tools.